By August 2022, Andrew Tate had 11.6 billion TikTok views, more Google searches for his name than Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian, as well as an online business pulling in millions of views. But now, his name is never heard online, with people even saying they forgot he even existed. My name's Ryan, and we're gonna look at the downfall of Andrew Tate, as well as give an update on where he is now. Before Andrew Tate was the most searched man on the internet, he was a professional kickboxer with 4 world championship titles under his belt. But it wasn't until 2016 that he gained widespread attention by appearing on the British reality television series Big Brother. For those who didn't know, Big Brother is a reality show where strangers live together in a specially constructed house that is isolated from the outside world, with cameras and microphones continuously monitoring them. And throughout the competition, housemates are evicted from the house by public televoting. On top of that, the last remaining housemate wins the competition and a cash prize, which ranged from anywhere between £70,000 to £100. And Andrew Tate's loud, combative personality is exactly the kind of character producers look for.
I'm Andrew Tate, I'm 29 years old, and I'm a 4 times kickboxing world champion. I see myself as smarter than average. I was a chess champion from a very young age, from the age of 3. My biggest tool is that I'm not afraid of anything.
However, his first attempt at gaining mainstream fame was short-lived because just after 6 days, Tate was removed from the house after footage of him hitting a woman with a belt surfaced. However, he later posed with the girl on social media while smiling and holding a belt after he paid for her to fly from Ukraine, as well as revealing his side of the story during an interview saying, "This tape is a kinky sex video and we're acting out roleplay. A longer version of the video shows us laughing and I'm hitting myself, saying it doesn't hurt. I'm still friends with her and she's in the UK with me now. I would never hit a woman." The following year, he and his brother Tristan moved to Romania, and together they built a studio that made millions using webcam girls, selling sob stories to desperate men. At its peak, the two brothers claimed to run a studio where 75 lingerie-clad models take calls from fans paying $4 a minute. But Tate had bigger ambitions than a webcam studio, because in 2021, he launched Hustlers University, an online business education community that, for $49.99 a month, users have access to the Discord and to video lessons purportedly teaching money-making methods like investing in cryptocurrency and copywriting. And that was when Andrew Tate's fame started to explode, through his Hustlers University affiliate program, which enabled Tate's followers to earn commissions for signing up new members and encouraged them to post videos of him to get as many referrals as possible. And to get the most views and engagement as possible, they posted the most controversial clips where Andrew said things like the following.
Life for a man is harder than life for a woman. We need to have a lot of shit to be an important man. To be a woman, you need makeup.
If you're the kind of person who feels like they need therapy, you're useless. Because in the harshest realities of this cold world, there are people in Syria whose entire families have been blown to fuck, who are still getting up every day, making fucking bread and selling it on the streets.
As a result, it led to thousands of videos of Tate being posted on social media, generating thousands of referrals and propelling Tate to viral fame. And by August 2022, he was one of the most famous figures on TikTok, where videos of him had been watched more than 11.6 billion times. While in July of that year, there were more Google searches for his name than Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian. In less than 3 months, the strategy had earned him a huge following online and potentially made him millions, with 127,000 members paying the $49.99 a month to join Hustlers University's community. But his viral fame also came with a cost, because the same content that were making him famous were also making him impossible to ignore for the wrong reasons. In September 2017, Andrew posted a controversial tweet claiming depression isn't real, saying there are very few fat lonely men aged 60 with no money or family or hobbies who aren't depressed. This is not a clinical disease. It is a circumstance which they must change. Most, quote, depressed people are unhappy with their lives, too lazy to change it. That's simple. So people defend depression, they get angry when I say this because they need this BS to justify their own failures. And of course, people were outraged with comments saying this is possibly the worst, most ill-advised, poorly educated, and ignorant thread I have ever seen. However, Andrew wasn't done making himself the center of attention yet, because just 1 month later, he went one step further by claiming that women should bear some responsibility if they are sexually harassed. harassed, saying, "If you put yourself in a position to be harassed, you must bear some responsibility. I'm not saying it's okay you got harassed. If you go out, meet a guy, take his drinks all night, go to his apartment drunk, start to kiss him, then he grabs your tits, not harassment." And by the time he was one of the world's biggest social media stars, organizations started acting against him, saying his violently misogynistic, racist, and homophobic content posed a genuine threat to young people. As a result, a UK anti-extremism group called Hope Not Hate launched a petition calling on tech platforms to remove Andrew Tate's content. Then, in August 2022, social media sites started removing his accounts, with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok citing violations of their policies. And to put the scale of that loss into perspective, before his accounts were deleted, Andrew Tate had 4.6 million followers on Instagram, more than 740,000 subscribers on YouTube, and his videos on TikTok had millions of views. Even Stripe, the payment platform the Hustlers University used, pulled out of processing digital payments for the academy. While Stripe did not comment directly on why it stopped working with HU, it stated its policies bar certain activities such as get-rich-quick schemes. Nevertheless, Andrew Tate didn't give up after his bans. He came back later and relaunched Hustlers University in November 2022, renaming it from its old name to The Real World. And unlike Hustlers University, which had been running on Discord, The Real World has a self-reliant infrastructure, which according to Andrew Tate, has its own bank, its own payment processing, and its own web servers. This means that Andrew will not be counting on mainstream tech platforms, which have attacked his operations like the last time. However, not everyone welcomed The Real World, with one ex-user that said, "Andrew Tate's war room is teaching young men how to traffic women into sex work. The Real World is a MLM scheme luring in children, which they use to find potential war room members." And it seemed like a lot of people also shared that same point of view, because in September 2023, Google removed Andrew Tate's online learning platform from Google Play after campaigners complained that the influencer's Real World app is a pyramid scheme which exploits teens and ultimately channels them towards misogynistic ideology. On the same note, a similar action was also taken by Apple, but while he was dealing with his online educational business, something was happening in Romania that was about to make all of this look pale in comparison. Because on December 29th, 2022, Andrew Tate and his brother were arrested in Romania in connection with a human trafficking investigation. According to the news outlet, the two brothers were under investigation for forming an organized criminal group responsible for kidnapping young women and exploiting them by making them the subjects of porn videos intended to be sold via websites like OnlyFans. Following the arrest, Andrew Tate lost $4 million in assets after Romanian authorities seized luxury watches and vehicles, including his Rolls-Royce and a Lamborghini. After spending 3 months in police detention in Bucharest, the Tate brothers won an appeal on March 31 to be moved to house arrest, until August 2023, when Andrew Tate was released from house arrest by Bucharest court, meaning he could leave the house but not Bucharest and the surrounding county. But of course, Andrew couldn't let all of that slide easily, as he immediately sued his accusers, seeking at least $5 million in the lawsuit, which was filed in Palm Beach County against a woman, her parents, and another woman who lived at the Tate's Bucharest estate, and a male friend of the woman. The brothers said the five conspired to falsely accuse them of human trafficking and rape, costing them their freedom and millions of dollars in income from their lucrative social media, podcast, and business ventures. However, while the judge said the defamation lawsuit can move forward, he threw out Tate's allegations against her parents and some allegations against the women who sued him, and for now, there isn't any final result of the lawsuit yet. But the Romanian police weren't done with him yet, because in August 2024, Andrew Tate's home was raided again amid new claims of trafficking minors. As the police said, the latest raids were looking into allegations of human trafficking minors, sexual intercourse with a minor, money laundering, and trying to influence witnesses. And again, the prosecutors asked the judge to remand the brothers in custody for 30 days while they continued a new investigation involving a total of 35 alleged victims, including a woman who was 15 at the time. But Andrew Tate denied everything, denouncing the case against him as a stitch-up and lies. This is a setup. It is absolutely disgusting. 30 of those girls say we have done nothing wrong. 2 are the mothers of our children to have never ever been here to Romania, he said. But then, on December 19th, 2024, the Romanian court sent Andrew Tate's human trafficking case back to prosecutors, for the reason being that several pieces of evidence, including initial statements from two main alleged victims and witness testimonies, were inadmissible. Then, on April 6, 2026, Andrew Tate had restrictions lifted by Romanian police, and as of May 2026, there has been no conviction, with no trial having officially begun since the case remains under investigation. But Romania wasn't the only country that wanted a piece of Andrew Tate, because while the Romanian case was moving through the motions, 3 other countries had already started building their own. It started in March 2024 when UK police in Bedfordshire secured a European arrest warrant against Andrew and Tristan Tate based on allegations of sexual aggression from 2012 to 2015. Naturally, the two brothers rejected all accusations, saying,
"We are innocent men. No, we're very innocent men, and in time everybody's going to see that, and we're very excited to finish this judicial process and clear our names."
Later that year, 4 British women sued Andrew Tate over rape and abuse claims, which are separate from the charges in Romania, centered on abuse that allegedly took place between 2013 and 2016 before he rose to prominence on social media. Then, on March 27, 2025, a model and former girlfriend named Brianna Stern, who says she dated Andrew Tate for 10 months, alleged in a lawsuit that Andrew threatened and abused her during a violent sexual encounter. 3 weeks after that, on May 28, 2025, UK prosecutors authorized 21 charges against the Tate brothers, with Andrew facing 10 charges connected to 3 alleged victims, including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain. Tristan, on the other hand, faces 11 charges connected to 1 alleged victim, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking. At this point, Tate was staring down at active legal exposure in Romania, the UK, and the United States simultaneously, and his response was to go on offense, because the brothers filed lawsuits against Meta and TikTok for over $50 million for deplatforming him. The lawsuits claimed the removal of the brothers' social media accounts was the culmination of a coordinated campaign to suppress, silence, and destroy the reputations and livelihoods of 2 controversial but law-abiding men. However, on April 29, 2026, Meta convinced a federal court to quash that lawsuit. While the legal cases were stacking up, Tate tried to remind everyone who he was in the place where his identity had always been bulletproof: the ring. In late 2025, it was announced that he would return to competitive fighting as a part of Misfits Boxing, competing for the heavyweight championship against a fighter named Chase Demore. And as someone who was a 4-time world champion, he expected Chase to be an easy opponent.
He's a product of the new generation. He's got a big mouth. You know, he likes to show off, likes to get clicks. It's exactly what I thought he'd be. I think he's nervous, and I think he's trying to convince himself that he's going to win. So he's just saying more and more outlandish things, because every time he says something, it doesn't work, so he just tries to up the tempo. That's all it is.
However, it was a much different reality.
A shot like that, absolutely not. It's too easy to see, and Andrew Tate's simply fatigued, and he wasn't able to get out of the way of it. Too much weight. Beautiful shot by Chase around the Chase Demore, clearly dominated in round 5.
And after 6 rounds, Chase won via majority decision. And for Andrew, he already got his excuses ready.
40 years old, 10 years retired, a little bit of time in a Romanian dungeon. It was always going to be a big ask against someone so much bigger than me, younger than me, more active than me, but I wanted a real challenge. I didn't want to fight a tin can. I didn't want to fight someone older than me or smaller than me. You know, I felt like I won the first 2 rounds, but then because he's 20 kilo heavier, he started leaning on me and sapped some energy. But I didn't quit, never give up, never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out on your shield. So I have no excuses. Training camp went fantastic. Time is the fire in which we all burn.
But it appeared that the public's opinion was the opposite, with people commenting, "biggest oral loss in modern history," and "Andrew, I've got no excuses, but I'm older, lighter, been in jail, and not fought for 10 years." But the loss itself wasn't even the worst part of it, because once the fight was over, people started digging into his actual competitive record. An MMA analyst named Napoleon broke down the full history of Andrew Tate's kickboxing career with a video titled Paul and Tate's Bogus Journey, and another YouTuber, Louis Extras, summed up the video perfectly, saying the following.
Half of Tate's fights he supposedly won have no evidence to have ever happened. Over 2/3 of the fights that could be verified to have happened are with opponents with no records of ever fighting anyone besides Tate. 3 of his world title wins were against opponents with no records aside from their fights with Tate. The 4th world title he won was from competing against a man with a losing record. None of the titles he won are of very high caliber, and he only ever faced 6 fighters with winning records and lost to 2 of them.
As a result, people were surprised to learn the truth, with some commenting, "Love learning that a grown man's world title is less legit than my kid's wrestling state championship." The only winning record Tate ever had was his trafficked women versus time served ratio. But while this loss was bad, it was pale in comparison to what happened in Miami. In January 2026, Miami local news reported on Clavicular the Tate brothers, Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, and Myron for playing Ye's band song. 2 club employees were fired for playing the song, and almost every club in Miami have now banned them. And that didn't sit well with the mayor of Miami at all.
Heil Hitler and Adolf Hitler? I cannot believe we're even seeing this and witnessing Miami Beach.
As well as other leader figures of the city.
Animals.
This is obviously not welcome in Miami Beach. It should not be welcome anywhere in the world.
And by the way, I spoke to other club operators. They are not welcome in their club. How they got into this club, open arms.
However, Andrew Tate's response was the last thing his audience expected. First, he deflected completely.
I don't want to be blaming other people, etc. A whole bunch of songs were played that night, none of which I requested. None. I walk into a nightclub and songs are played. Unfortunately, if anything happens anywhere near me, it gets tied to my name. I didn't ask them to play it. I didn't dance. I didn't sing. In fact, the only time you see me on there is me storming out of the bus, saying this is ridiculous and leaving. But I know why it was played. It was played because of this. It was played because it gets traction in a world where everybody is bored of everything all of the time. And that's why these young people are encouraged constantly to try and do the most shocking thing possible.
Then he flipped on someone else.
I don't think they even put the song on. I can't. I have to guess. I think Sneeko may have put the song on, who I'd met many times before.
Before eventually explaining the real reason behind the incident.
Honestly, I think they're just kids. I think they're just kids. It gets a reaction. They think they're funny. They're on the internet. They need a reaction. They want likes, and they did fucking dumb shit. That's what I think it is. I think they're just literally
But Sneeko didn't agree with that, as he pointed out in another live stream.
You were laughing at it too. You've played the song. I was in Spain with Ye when you posted a video of you listening to the song in your Bugatti.
As well as showing the clip where Andrew played the song himself.
They're clipping you playing? Look! What do you mean? That's why I thought the song would be fine. I've seen this video. Now, I'm not still doing this to snitch. I saw this in Spain with Ye. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I don't find it funny. Like, why? I wouldn't try to backstab you. I wouldn't play a song that would make you upset.
After that, Sneeko then declared that Andrew was no longer the top G.
This is a meme where a white guy was on the plane and started saying the hard R. He's like, oh, look, I'm the edgy guy who says a racial slur. Actually, no, you're not. You folded when it came to anti-Semitism. Don't try to be here and talk, I'm the base guy. I'll say the words you don't want me to say. What the fuck is your lawyer talking about then? And what are you talking about on the PBD podcast? Saying it's retarded and that you're horrified and you wouldn't listen to that song. You don't get to wear that crown. That crown here, this Burger King crown, is for the top G. Take it off. It's my crown. It's my crown. Stole that shit.
And it seemed that a lot of people also agreed with him, saying Tate's always been a coward, and Tate is owned and broke under pressure. But it wasn't just the Miami incident, because around the same time, an old clip resurfaced of Tate explaining why he doesn't read books.
Reading books is a very cheap way to, I guess, entertain. I wouldn't call it entertainment because my brain is far too advanced. I'm too smart to read. I'm not gonna sit there and go, smart people read. No. I need action. I need constant chaos in my life to feel content. I need to be driving a supercar and fucking fighting, fucking a bunch of hoes and champagne and going crazy. I can't just sit there, oh, and the pirate on the boat. Like, it's for people with slow brains.
And after facing a lot of backlash from the internet, Andrew Tate responded by saying the following.
There's obviously some fucking broke dude who reads books who's really upset by the fact that I have a $110 million car collection and $400 million of property around the world. I'm one of the most well-known, relevant people. I'm one of the most famous people on the fucking planet. I get asked to do podcasts about every subject, about pussy and bitches, geopolitics, money, you name it. There's not a fucking subject on earth that every single podcaster that these losers watch doesn't beg me, Andrew Tate, please will you come on my show? Please with your opinions. How did I get all these amazing opinions without reading books?
And that reaction was telling because someone who genuinely didn't care about what people thought wouldn't need to do what he did next. In early April 2026, he launched a newsletter on Substack, which is a platform that enables writers to earn subscription fees directly from their newsletter audiences. And by April 14th, he hit 1.1 million subscribers and landed at number 2 on Substack's rising news chart. But there was just one problem. An organization called the Justice for Prosperity Foundation decided to actually look at those 1.1 million accounts in an article titled "Andrew Tate is Engineering His Comeback, a Warning for All of Us." They ran an audit through a sample of 951 subscribers and found that 75% of the sampled accounts had no bio, no publications or visible activity elsewhere on Substack, and their only observable function is to subscribe to Tate's newsletters. Then, 10 days after Tate announced his milestone, his follower count dropped from 1.1 million to 980,000 on April 24th, which led to a conclusion that Tate imported a pre-existing email list, most likely harvested from one of his own platforms without the consent of the people on it. And the broader numbers made that even clearer, as YouGov, a global research data and analytics group, tracked public opinion on Tate across both the US and UK in 2026. In the UK, 79% of adults had heard of him, which sounds like a reach until you see the next number, because 63% of UK adults actively disliked him and only 11% had a positive view. In the US, the gap was smaller but still telling, as 35% disliked him while only 12% liked him. What's even more telling is his social media activities. On April 14th, 2025, a research firm called Open Measures tracked his output across platforms over a 2-year period. On Getter, a social media platform built on the foundation of freedom of opinion and expression, he went from around 77 posts a month in 2023 to 18 posts a month by early 2025, which is a 77% drop. On Truth Social, he went from around 58 posts a month in 2023 to 17 posts a month by early 2025, which is down 44%. And on X, the only mainstream platform that ever let him back, Open Measure found that in the 3-week period of our investigation in March and April 2025, Tate lost over 100,000 followers. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy these next ones as well, and don't forget to subscribe.